What's going on, guys? PXCam20 back in with a brand new video, and we are at Fuji International Speedway, which is pretty ironic because we are at my favorite racetrack with some of my least favorite cars. I do not like racing these Group 1 cars. Something about it just doesn't feel right on this game, especially because of the acceleration, but I decided to pull myself together, decided to do this race for you guys. And luckily we were able to get a really good qualifying lap. We were able to get it down to a 128.1, so not the fastest here on this lobby, but we were able to at least be competitive as we are starting in third place. So if we play our cards right, hopefully we can fight for a podium against the Italian and the Belgium. So before we jump into it, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that is enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into this race. Now, as we jump into the race, we get our 3, 2, 1, and away we go as we try to get a great start here. But unfortunately, I short shifted on the second gear, so we kind of lose all our momentum here. So we're starting to get pressured by the Brit right behind us as we're heading into turn number 1. Finding our braking point, making sure we don't brake too late so we avoid making contact with the guys ahead. You can see that the Brit is trying to make a move onto the outside of us, but we're able to cover him here as the Italian makes an unsuccessful pass on the Belgium, and we fall in line right behind him here as we come into turn number 3. So on turn number 3, leading us into 4 and 5, we're staying right behind the Italian as he clips on the brakes ever so slightly, and we get a little bit closer to him here as we jump into turn number 6. Heading to the left-hander, we're starting to pull away a little bit from 4th place, as it's going to be the main thing here. These cars are very, very tricky around Fuji. You just have to be very patient with the throttle, and there's a little trick here when going into some of these corners. You're going to probably see it in some of these corners here as we're heading into turn number 10 and 11. Getting a little bit closer to the Italian here, we're putting a little bit of pressure, but he's able to pull away ever so slightly. But going into the right-hander, we're staying in second gear as we're going to head into these final couple of corners. Heading to the left-hander here, we shifted down to 1, but then shifted back up to 2, and that's the thing that I was talking to you guys about, the little strategy using with the gears. If you push the gear down to a gear lower than what you're going into the corner with, you're able to get a little bit more rotation, but then immediately put it back to the higher gear. You get some great traction coming off the corners, and that's one thing I've been able to do to help with my time and on my pace, as it really helps with avoiding wheel spin, so it reduces the amount of wear that you get on the rear tires. But not only that, it helps with rotation once you shift it down to the next gear down, and it helps you out through some of these corners, especially in the long sweeping ones. So you're gonna see that throughout the entire video as we're again just trying to catch up to the Italian, but you see he's actually getting closer to the Belgium right ahead, and they're starting to put a little bit of pressure on each other, which is great for us because that's gonna pull us closer to them and allow us to stay with them and not let them get too far away from us. But in doing so, we're also inviting the cars right behind us if we get a little bit loose coming into the two left-handers. On the left-hander heading to the right, you see the Italian gets a little bit loose there, and the Belgium is just pulling away now as he's starting to form a little gap from the Italian, as the Brit had a little bit of a peak on the inside heading into the final corner, but luckily we were able to hold him off here as we jump up into lap number 7. So nothing much really happened throughout the rest of the race. It was just basically trying to get away from 4th place, which you can see we were able to do so. About a 5-second gap away from him as we get a little bit looser. But the main thing was we were able to stay with this Italian as the Belgium was just saying peace out, adios, goodbye. I was able to get away from us and the Italian. So the Belgian basically is on his own race as me and the Italian are in our own race. And we're going to see here if we can find any gap to try to make an overtake on him, as we're just inching away closer and closer to him, picking away from his gap as we're able to get it down to 1 second. So on lap number 9 here, going into turn number 3, the Italian goes a little bit wide, and that just messes him up big time. So we're able to capitalize on that, just ease our way closer to him as we're just trying to hit our marks, make sure that we don't spin the tires and not get loose here coming into a couple of these corners, as we're starting to get later into the race here, and the tires are now starting to wear ever so slightly. So we got to be very patient with the throttle and just be cautious of how we're taking some of these corners, as we actually overdrive the corner just a little bit, but so does the Italian. So nothing too costly here as we're able to just stay with him. We're actually putting a little bit more pressure on him here as we're heading into the final 2 corners, and you can see here that he's just pulling away ever so slightly, but we're staying there as he gets a little bit loose coming out of that left-hander, and we're able to hold him off, stay right behind him, get into the right-hander, and stay in the slipstream, as that's going to help us out tremendously. One thing that does help you out on this racetrack is the slipstream, so if you can get close enough to them, the car ahead of you, you should be able to stay with them majority of the race as long as you utilize the slipstream, and then hopefully you can use that towards an advantage to make the overtake. So coming now to the final few laps, we are on lap number 11 as we're heading past the Dunlop sign. Heading to the right-hander, we're staying right behind the Italian as we get very, very close to his back bumper. So we are now in striking range here as we're shifting onto the inside, but he's able to get the corner here as he goes very, very wide into the right-hander. We're starting to take a little peek onto the outside as we're just putting pressure all over his back bumper, get very, very close to it as he clips a little bit of the dirt right there, and that's very costly as he gets very loose coming out of that left-hander once again. So we are able to just sneak it onto the inside, make the overtake, and we are now around the Italian here as we come out of turn number 16 and lead us into this front stretch. So heading down the straight, we're going to shift down to the inside so we could try to break the toe, but the Italian got a great slipstream on us as he's now on the outside here, going side by side as we head into turn number 1. We're now on lap number 12, making a little bit of contact going into turn number 1. Nothing too bad, but we actually missed our braking point, and the Italian is able to just cut it from the inside, but he pushes us out of the way. So now we are on the outside clipping the grass, and the Italian gets a 2-second penalty because of that. As we jump into the replay, we just make a little bit of contact with him. You can see we missed our braking point. We try to keep it on the track right here, but he just pushes us out wide, and we can see right here how much time we lost as he actually gets a 2-second penalty. So very, very horrendous racing going on here as we missed the braking point, and that costed us dearly. But if we can stay as close as we can to the Italian and not let the gap get too big, we should be able to hopefully overtake him here, as the penalty zone here on the track is very OP. If the car gets a penalty, the car behind should be able to overtake them if they are close enough. So heading down to the penalty zone, going on to the final lap, the Italian had to serve his 2-second penalty. You can see how much time we're gaining on him as we got a lot more top end speed. Heading onto the inside, make an easy overtake going into turn number 1 as we're on the final lap. Switch it all the way to the left hand side so we can hit our racing line, and we actually get taken out by the Italian. And you can see right here on the replay, he didn't even brake. He just decided to stay on the throttle. That was 100% on purpose. And we try to get back onto the track as we get a little bit loose there, and so does the Italian. He gets a 4-second penalty, so we're going to see if we could try to get close to him, but unfortunately I'm just losing the back end a lot because of how frustrated I am after getting rammed out right there from the Italian. And you can see now we are demoted back into 4th place as the Brit was able to overtake us there. But not only that, we have a car catching up to us behind us as the car right ahead of us gets a 1/2 second penalty. So there might be a silver lining to the end of this race if we can get closer to the Italian and the British right ahead of us. But our rear tires are just so destroyed right now because of the ram and going off into the dirt, just getting them dirty, and then accelerating off and spinning the tires as we're heading to the turn number 10. So onto turn number 10, you can see we just missed our braking point there as our tires are extremely worn out, and we are now starting to get pressured all over from the Belgian behind us. He takes a look onto the inside, able to make a great aggressive clean move on the inside. He's able to take 4th away from us as we're just trying to see if we can get onto a gap here and make an overtake on the Belgian as we almost make a little bit of contact with him. Take a wide entrance going into the final corner as the Belgian goes very, very wide. We're able to retake 4th place here as we stomp back onto the throttle, heading down the penalty zone. Can we catch up to the Brit or to the Italian before the start finish line as we're heading down here? And unfortunately we are not, as we finish this race in 4th place ahead of the Belgian and right behind the Italian. So the Italian was able to just ram us out of the way, retaliate, do it all on purpose, and still finish ahead of us. So just very, very frustrating here because again, we were just fighting so hard to try to get that podium or get that 2nd place position away from the Italian, and we were racing clean with him. I mean, we just made a little bit of contact going to turn number 1, but that was kind of my fault and his fault because he was pinching me down, but at the same time I didn't realize he was going to pinch me down that much going to turn number 1, and so it kind of caught me off guard. So yeah, the 2-second penalty also wasn't really my fault either. I was just trying to keep him on the track, and he decided to push me off. So he shouldn't be frustrated at me, but I guess that's just the way it goes. So hopefully we don't run into this guy anymore throughout our open lobbies, and hopefully we don't run into trouble like this ahead on these European lobbies, but at least we're able to finish in 4th. Somehow we got a clean race start. Not sure how that happens, but we're able to get 100,000 credits, and increase our DR and SR. So let me know if you guys had any issues like this with anybody on this race. I know it's been really interesting and really fun on this race, but you can run into some guys that don't race clean with you. So yeah, let me know what you guys have been thinking about this week on the daily races. Leave them in the comments down below, and if you guys enjoy the video, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.